admin doesn't, we have the hiring, but we just say that in our report, we hired, we went from 2 to 4 in 2024. We went from, so that's the story behind and why it's specifically called out.
That's a story.
That's why it's specifically called out line person.
Yeah.
That's the one that's hard to pin down.
So let's reconvene at whatever time we are, 16:50 hours.
Thank you, Devin.
Sorry I didn't give you enough.
No, that's okay. This worked out perfectly. I didn't think this meeting would go this long, so I thought it was gonna be a piece of cake.
We've got stuff to talk about.
I know, I don't care, I just thought we would get in there with time to spare. Now, and then I was starting to inch towards the finish line.
Thank you for all the work on the annual report.
And I will just say that the data is not easy, and that is,
I started looking through all of that and was like, oh my goodness. And you had to go back how many years to make it work?
6 years, because we had other different, but then it's just, testing the robustness of the data, right? So she would do a run, and then I got to be the hand grenade person, and then would realize there was problems, and she had to go back.
He does the same thing to you that I do to him.
Yes, what you do with words, I do with numbers, so yes. But that's what took so long, so that we could be extremely confident, and we didn't, we kept thinking we got to a good spot, and then with different companies and stuff, and then we would find holes, and so our goal this year was to stop and take the time to get it right, and that's what took so long, and it's extremely difficult, and it's through Excel. I might bring an alternate solution to you that I'm working on, but I don't want to mention it now, but it would keep Shauna, which is, we hired her as a numbers person, and a words person, and this is not words. So I am still working on ways to get it off of her plate, because it takes a lot of time to do the data. But more to come on that. If not, we're comfortable that as this goes forward, it shouldn't take as much time now that we've got it all worked out. But it also gives you now that you can look those back 6 years and really see where we've come from, right? When we were putting the data together before, it was all over the board, and that's kind of what made me realize that the different pieces of the last few years were not working, because it shouldn't look like that. This looks like you would expect. It doesn't go perfectly better, but the trend is always getting better, and that's what it should. It's not these weird numbers, and so I do think it shows that the organization over the last 5 years has made, pretty big strides, especially over that time that we've only had a dedicated unit in this year. So we've made all that before we did that.
And I appreciate the snapshots that came from all of the different sections, whether it's safety or ops and DJ. I appreciated the work that they put in there to show us where we are. Anything from you, John?
No.
Do we need?
We would like you to officially adopt
it?
If you want to come in and work on it, you wording. I'm serious.
I'll move that we adopt the 2024 annual, solicitor's 2024 annual report as written.
I'll second that motion.
Oh, sure. Thanks. See, now you're off the
As
hook.
written, see?
As written, as presented,
I noted that.
including nearly
Nearly as
Nearly, 47.9.
It's nearly adopted.
That was a good one.
Commissioners,
Yes.
I just want to say, I meet, for many years, I've got to meet with a lot of men and women that are interested in this job. Why they come to me and talk, I don't know. Yeah, and neither does anybody. However, that being said, they say, hey, where do I find that information? And I try to give them as much as I can. I send it to other people, but two things I tell them is annual reports and websites for agencies. And I myself, everybody knows I'm a little weird, a little bit different, but I've read cover to cover multiple annual reports from different fire departments, big cities, small cities, fire districts, kind of from all over. And I was ordered to go through this one with a fine tooth comb, and I did, and by far this, kudos to both of you, is one of the best annual reports that I've ever read. And I appreciate that it's coming from my agency, and I can say that because I've read what I consider some pretty good ones. And this is right up there at the top, so thank you both.
It's officially adopted.
Thank you.
Did we vote?
Yep.
We did.
Oh, yes.
I don't, did we vote? I don't wanna have to come back and.
Okay.
No.
I'll just go with the all in favor.
There was
Motion seconded,
Sec-
and there was not a vote.
no vote, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There we go, thank
Okay.
you.
You voted.
Premature.
That's hard for keeping us on the screen. Latecomers agreement, after a lot of discussion with the city and attorneys and everything else, it looks like it really is not cost effective for us to pursue any of that. And the likelihood of it happening, I think, in my opinion, is slim and none. Because when you look at the lots and the real estate that is down there that we could potentially recoup some money on, the likelihood of that happening is,
Really small, actually.
So,
but we're gonna follow you, and if you do anything with that property, we're gonna come get $1.98 from you.
for sure. Gladly give it up.
Easy. So in my opinion, we should just let it go.
Drop it. Yep, I agree.
Agreed.
Let go.
Let go.
Done.
Let it go.
Not that I wanted to.
I want that $4 from whoever lives across the street.
Finally off my plate.
We have 3 large warrants, 2511, 12, and 13, all to GenCap. Any questions on those?
No.
I still am liking that section right down at the bottom that says change order summary, $0. That's,
And we're tracking, obviously, and like I said, I think, so there's two types of change orders. I've actually asked them to change the name of one of them. So there's the change order that's actually part of the bid. And if they don't use it, they give us a check back. And then there's the change order that you guys are all thinking of our contingency. Of that, we've used, we're budgeting about $2,500 out of the already paid stuff and $0 out of the budget. So that's pretty good for this far in the project. I think they found a bunch of garbage buried in the property that I don't think that, I think that's the 2,500. Other than that, we still probably have some coming. The sewer line where they dug up, and these would be both out of that ones we paid. They dug through a part, they don't know for sure, but everybody, all the engineers assume it was really wet. They assumed the old sewer pipe was leaking. It wasn't broken, but there'd be no other reason for water to be right there. So they had to over excavate and overfill, so we'll probably get a bill for that. But again, that'll come, both of those will be coming out of that already
the
paid.
project contingency is already, it's not something that, change orders to me is like, hey, you know what, we really want to have a second
That-
floor.
And that's why I'm asking them to
Yeah,
come in,
that kind of
because
change
they
order,
were,
yeah.
they would, right now, they would come as a change order, so it's gonna change, so whoa, that's a change order.
Okay.
I'm asking them to call that reserve fund just that, so that you can tell the difference between the two.
Yeah.
So hopefully before we actually pay those, we'll get that fixed, so
All right.
it's more obvious.
We need a motion to authorize those 3 large warrants. And I so move for large warrant 2511, 2512, and 2513.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
You know what? Why are there 3?
So they have to build each project, and the infrastructure is its own project, so there's
Oh, right.
infrastructure,
Yep.
41 and 43.
I asked that before. Yep.
So for example, of the infrastructure one, which is 13, we're billing the city 231,000 of that. And that's why, and the reason we're getting 43 already is they're buying now because we asked them to. All 43 is stuff they're buying now, so that they're getting the exact same thing.
Yes.
So they're starting the buyout for 43 now.
Staff reports? Who's first? Chief Hawkins.
All right, ops report, had a few, fires in district, both, commercial and residential. Also had one notable mutual aid response where Medic 43 got to go help Surfer North and actually transported a burn patient, and that was up in 42's area. Interesting, they were coming from another call, high acuity call, and the battalion 81, actually on his way home ran across this fire, so it was never dispatched. He actually just arrived on it and said, hey, whoa, that's a house on fire. But county resource, just highlighting that periodically communities are getting greater alarm fires, and we seem to be using the resource management tool where the ACs and DCs of ops are on a text thread or an app and say, hey, Marysville's got a 2 alarm or Everett's got a 2 alarm. We need to move some assets around for coverage. We utilized that 3 times last month. The Engine 43 actually went to Station 48 twice in August, and then once to, I think, Everett Station 1 for a standby cover assignment.
How long do those last typically?
The one in Everett was maybe about an hour and a half, and one of them up at Station 48 North County was a couple hours, and the other one I think was maybe an hour and a half or 2. Well, usually a couple hours. We're trying to get better at not releasing units before you need to release them. Some people will just like, oh, engine 1 just out of service, go and release the standby. Well, they might still be out of service, so we're trying to get better at communicating. I'm not saying keep them longer than you need, but don't be so quick, because what happens is oftentimes those engines are out of service, unavailable, and our engine will be halfway across Russell and get sucked right back into Everett as being the closest resource anyway. So I'd say probably averaging right around 2 hours for those standby assignments. I don't know why, we just happen to where we're located, we tend to marry up with Station 48. I think that's about the 4th time this summer that we've been to that station. So they're starting to become a pattern to where someday you might just be able to predict, hey, if it's in this region, most likely we're sending 43 to this station because it makes sense to cover that area.
And I would say this is one of those, I think, collaborative things that have born out of those meetings, is because we didn't do it just a few years ago, and this is the thing that the ops chiefs have worked to get better and better at by meeting and talking and getting those things done.
So, and I think I've asked this question before, and I know the answer from a CAD standpoint, but aside from it happening automatically in CAD, if you and the other op chiefs can get together and start, tabletop scenarios and say, if this happens, where does it make sense to move? Have you gotten to that point yet?
We've had some discussions, because there's some, it'd be nice to have somewhat of a blueprint of, hey, if District 4 is completely stripped, we would like a unit first to stand by 41. We figure that's the center. If we can't get all 3 of our station staff, that might be a good spot to land a rig. But it is a little challenging, because usually it's hitting a geographic area, so we would say maybe 41 would end up covering possibly 31 as well, because if depending on where the incident location is.
And how big it is.
It strips a
How
wide
many resources are-
wide area.
I know it's a
Dispatching, I don't want to completely disregard it, but not very much stuff so far seems to work when we try to run it through Snow 911 and use the dispatch to our advantage. I think there are programs out there that can take some of that thinking out of it, and just say, hey, by location, geolocation, we're gonna move these rigs here. But we haven't got there yet. I know they're evaluating, software for a few years down the road. They're in the process of evaluating that now, and I know that was brought up as a feature that would be nice to assist in that, because all these ops chiefs from all the different agencies, we turn over too. And so it'd be nice to have more of a robust, somehow automated system as opposed to relying on, hey, Marysville ops chief just retired, the new guy doesn't really know.
Yeah.
You know, you lose some of that historical stuff, so. But yeah, there has been some discussions. For now, it's, working well, pretty well. I mean, we miss some. We're subject to, I don't have an alarm system in my house. So if I don't wake up to a ding on my phone, because if I had every alarm bell on, my wife would kill me. So, I may
Or
wake
kill
up in the
you.
morning and go, oh, Everett had a 2-alarm fire, and I see I missed some text threads, but generally, somebody out of the group has picked it up. It only really needs one of us to say, hey, I got this one, I'll start working with the VCs and moving assets. Hours report, as kind of anticipated, we have most of the outstanding debit hours for the year of 2025 have been worked. We're down to 18, Whitney?
Yeah.
17 days out of the group, out of 500, 600 that start the year. So most of it's been done, which means from here on forward, we will start seeing quite a bit more staffing overtime and less debit hours, just because they've worked.
And is that typical?
Yep, it's what we anticipated. What we anticipated is start the year, it's gonna be more debit time, less staffing overtime, and we will probably end most every year, mostly overtime and less debit. So
I
that's,
recall last year we had an issue of people not getting their debit.
we no longer have that issue. That issue was short-lived, and
We currently don't have that issue because of Medicaid.
It's kind of like the mandatory, it will come and go, right? So let's say we decide to put another dedicated unit in 2030. We're not large enough to hire, because that takes 9 each people. We can't just hire 9 people, budget-wise, training-wise, so we always go into it, we do a few before, right? So and this is exactly what happened. We had a few before, which made a lot of debit days for what we have, right? But now we're a few short because we put a dedicated unit in. They're in the academy right now, and so now overtime. And so as we move through, as we increase staffing, you're always going to have that wave. And then the larger we get, when you're Surfer size, and then Tacoma size, and then Seattle size, that wave starts to blend out and seems less and less big.
so we've turned a corner, and Whitney, as one of the labor leaders, will agree to disagree. And what the issue last year was not because we didn't open a medic unit, is because most people were choosing to take overtime in lieu of debit. And so by going through that process this year, people have made, in addition to the medic unit, people have made a concerted effort before the medic unit even went in service to get their debit time worked.
And their debit hours drop down again every
Yeah, next year they dropped down. This year they went down to 14, next year it's down to 12. So next year the bargaining group drops 2 days, and we'll be at
Each.
12. Yeah, each.
And
So,
then will that be reflected in the overtime, just with the more out?
Yeah,
less hours getting out of debit?
yeah, it's definitely less hours, but we got a few more. I mean, it's one of those,
Yeah.
like the annual report, it's tough to say. We don't know how many part-timers do we have, 6 in the academy and 3 currently, or 4 currently, so we have 10. This time next year, I could be telling you we have 3 again. Like,
Yeah.
like that fluctuates a lot as well, because people get full-time job offers, but,
And it's hard to say now, but projected, It's projected that we'll still spend more overtime last year than this year, even with all that, right? Back to Jason's point, is there was plenty of opportunities for overtime last year, it's just hard to get them. And to your point, dropping the debit days is about equal to one person, about 2,000 hours, which is what one position is, so that's that, but then we've hired for that, but we've added the unit, so I tried to do the math to figure out how much overtime we'll be. We're budgeting slightly more this next year than 25, but not a huge amount because of the bodies. Now, our regular time budget, you'll see when the budget comes out, we put more money into increasing our regular time budget than overtime because of the hires.
Yeah, and with all that being said, and we've already kind of talked
Which is
about it a
healthier
little
as well,
bit.
correct?
What's that?
Which is healthier as well, correct?
Yeah.
So-
But the overtime, is the 1,200, is the 192 and the 226, is that added into the?
No,
is that
that's
total?
separate, so if you totaled it up, it's about 2,100 hours total for off-duty overtime, comp time, however they took those hours, mandatory wildland backfill, and overtime when out of deployment, which those are reimbursed. So even though we're paying backfill and reimbursement out of our budget now, at some point it'll get reimbursed.
It'll come back.
Yeah, it'll come back. So total overtime for that month was about 2,100 hours, when all those are independent numbers, not,
And the normal hours would be the 5,700, 870, and 504.
yep, and
Normal hours.
870, and 873. So the debit would be paid out like regular time, so all those combined would be your regular hours. But I tell the BCs, and us, all the BCs have been here long enough, what this different shift versus the old shift has allowed us to do is to do a lot of the extra stuff off duty. We wouldn't even be talking about, wildland moves or tech teams under our old deployment. With the old contract, with the old staffing, we just didn't have the capacity. There was so much overtime just to get our stations open, nobody had the capacity to do extra stuff, and I almost forgot, so in addition to sending the wildland rig out, we have 2 medics, assigned to the academy, a TO and a CO, 2 lieutenants. So just the way it happened this year, we were up for the TO, and we have 9 recruits, so we had to send a CO as well. In addition to that, we have somebody out of FMLA. In addition to that, we have somebody gone in military. So, I forgot, Ben is also out, so we have 4 people that would be staffing. So again, the fact that we can even send them a wildland, and yes, we're using some mandatory, but not all of it, is pretty remarkable that we have a robust enough system to absorb
Yeah.
4 people being gone, in addition to 3 being gone for our size work group. That's actually pretty amazing. So I just caught that when I looked at military leave, because we also have somebody that's gone until mid-December on military that we are filling with overtime, part-time, and debit hours to fill that position as well. Water team crushed it along with Surfer. I think they conducted water training in the month of August. All the crews, operational crews, rotated down to the Snohomish River and did some ops training. So I heard nothing but great reports out of that training. Pre-academy just started last week with our 9. So this week last week they were here. This week they're in conjunction with South County doing pre-academy up at their facility. That's just 1 week, and they'll start the academy next week. Our TO, Higby, got assigned up there a week ago, and then Lieutenant Lucky, who's the CO, went up Monday. It was his first day up there.
And this is how long is it?
They'll go till about December 11th, is graduation. So both Lucky and Higby will be there through December 11th.
I think it's the 13-week academy.
Yeah, so
And
when
then
they
the
graduate,
Early, the TO 2 weeks early.
they graduate on a Thursday, and both of them will rotate back to shift the following Sunday as we convert them back from day shift to shift work.
They're doing pre-academy in South County? Is Surfer not doing pre-academy at
Surfer,
ROB?
so my understanding is it was 25-1, the consortium, which Surfer's part of, and South County and Snohomish decided to do pre-academy together. And for whatever reason, I don't know the reason, Surfer decided they didn't want to do that, and they pulled their crew out from that group, and they didn't add them back in for the 25-2. So I don't know all the ins and outs, I just know that it was planned together, and then somebody made a decision that for whatever reason, we're doing ours alone. And I also think us in South County did a 2-week pre, and I think Surfer is still on an 8-week pre-academy. So I think the duration might have been part of it, that they're bringing their people in a significant amount earlier than the other two agencies, might have been the factor. I'm not sure all the ins and outs, I just remember Aaron saying, we were planning to do it together, and now we're not, and I didn't chase down, because I got enough stuff going on, I didn't care at that point, but. So I think that might have been part of it, is that they were bringing, Surfer was bringing them onboarding them much earlier than we were. What else I got? Still working on we got a lot of big projects going on. There's lots of moving parts. We got 3 new medic units expected sometime in January, so we're in the process of finalizing all the equipment necessary to outfit that. Got some network stuff that we're working with Audion on, that you guys might see a purchase off maybe next meeting on. Promotional testing happening in October. And then WSRB rating is between now and October. I think we have to have all our information. It's honestly quite a time suck on all the staff. There's a lot of information there requested.
Or WSRB.
Yeah, for insurance rating. So we've been meeting with water districts and.
For minimal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
return, yeah.
And that's it. You guys have any questions on any of the ops?
No, the only thing I have, I talked to Stewie about this, on training. Next year, I'd like to see on the water training that they include, when we have minus tides, which are usually August, September, that they do one of those trainings on one of the minus tide days on the Snohomish River. So they're familiar with what the river bottom really looks like. It's something that at some point in time could play a big change in how they actually go about a rescue, because it's a big dramatic change if you've never seen it, so. Kind of like night and day.
You all done, Chief?
I'm done unless there's any other questions. You have one there.
Chief Osborne,
Yes.
you're on.
Okay, gonna start, not that Gary's not busy enough, but keeping Gary busy starting next week. It's time for our annual everything. The hose and ladder testing, SCBA testing, recertification, flow tests, our Bauer air compressor, annual test for that. And on top of that, getting the apparatus in for their final preventive maintenance for the year. So he'll be doing that. He's got it pretty much dialed in, working with Chief Hodkinson and then the duty crews as well, getting our rigs rotated through and all of our stuff rotated through. I get to do a lot of fun stuff, so Chief Hodkinson and I and the executive chief staff, I talk a lot about the chaplains. We said, hey, we haven't done anything for the chaplains, why don't we see if we can do a breakfast? So we threw a breakfast for them over at the station. We included the duty crew for the day, our day staff as well. And everybody was able to come and attend. We cooked, starting around 6 a.m., had everything ready to go. Breakfast was at 8, and everybody was able to come in, all the chaplains and then our office staff as well, and sit with the crews. The 911 gods were good to us. They didn't call everybody out. We had a lot of fun with that, and I think that the chaplains really appreciated it. All 4 of them were able to make it as well, so that was really good. Still got a lot of pub ed stuff going on with Fire Marshal Hill and community events coming up. So we were able to do our annual fire extinguisher training down at Snohomish Senior Center. That's always a lot of fun and kind of a hit for them down there. We take the prop down and they actually spray the fire extinguishers and put out the fire. They kind of like that a lot. And then working with Commissioner Erickson and Sonoma Sportsman's Association and some donors, we've been talking about the life jacket loaner program. So we've got the life jackets, we've got them ID'd as loaners, a whole bunch of different sizes that were donated. We're just about done with the first location down at Fort Chuck Julia Landing to hang these life jackets up for people. I was with Commissioner Erickson yesterday down doing some finished work down there. And I don't know what we said, there's 75 boats and trailers and trucks parked there, and they were coming and going the whole time we were down there. So there's a lot of activity there, and a couple of people said, hey, what are you doing? And then when we told them what we were doing, they were pretty impressed. So that part was really good as well. People are knowing what we're doing. We've got the big signs that I showed you last time, that we'll get that put up. Last thing, fun thing for us was the Fire Explorers, working with Alex and Chief Hill on the ACT program. Got to start building the props that are going to be used for that first aid and CPR training, stop the bleed, wound care, and stuff that they're going to start presenting. And so the kids got to build a bunch of the props. In 2 weeks, they will get to actually be trained in the ACT program and use the props that they built, and let our instructors get in and have our explorers as the first round of official students for that program. So I'm really excited about that as well.
Chief,
Yes.
how does the new act, I know for years, the Heart Association was kind of the driver for how CPR was gonna be taught, and then the state kind of, Seattle Medic One had a huge impact. Who's the driver of all of that now? And do we still get an official certification or authorization from somebody to be able to, educate me on how that works these days?
Yeah. Chief, I need your help on
Okay.
this one,
It's-
with the ACT program.
Well, the Heart and the American Heart, and what was the other one?
Red Cross.
Red Cross.
Yes.
They both kind of just, I would say, failed, right? They started charging too much. They became a business and not
Oh,
a,
Institute or anything.
yeah,
Yeah.
it became a business and not trying to get the information out. And so, history-wise, you had what you said, and then it broke into certified and non-certified, right? So then you had to pay all the money for the certified, and then it just kind of devolved, right? And so they wanted too much money, everybody started going away from it. And you started getting these third-party companies that were certified, but even then they started charging too much, and then you have all these businesses. So then a lot of places went to participation cards, right? So that you didn't have to pay. Even that participation card, when we were doing, or when we were doing a Heart class before the Act, American Heart.
Yeah, American Heart
It was
Association.
still $10 for the participation card we had to pay them. So anyways, the Act was actually created by Sean Maxwell. And a lot of places have gone to their own site. So like I said, I don't know if you've noticed the Medic One CPR in the SeaTac airport. There's a kiosk in the SeaTac airport that you can learn CPR. So Medic One took this program and they, in the industry, hands-only CPR is now the thing, right? Like there's no reason to breathe if you're bystander. They've done enough research that hands-only is just as good or better than breathing, because you lose the prime in the pump if you stop. And people are so bad at it, they take too long and they don't breathe right, and they don't tilt the head back and they breathe into the stomach. So they found that for citizens, hand-only CPR is better. You still get oxygen because you're creating the negative and positive pressure in the lungs. And people are more likely to actually do it if they don't have to touch somebody's mouth with their mouth. So you get better participation, better performance, and better results. That research is kind of what drove back off the Medic One to go their own way and all this stuff. And that's what ACT is. An ACT basically is 3 15-minute modules. You spend 15 minutes teaching hands-only CPR. You spend 15 minutes talking about tourniquets and blood stop. That's the other thing that kills people. And you spend 15 minutes about Narcan.
Yes, the antidotes.
Because now you can get Narcan over the counter and all that. A lot more success with these the Medic One program handles only CPR, the ACT, versus an 8-hour class to teach CPR participation. Now, there's still, like, if you, I don't remember what it used to be the babysitting one certified, I think that's gone, but like if you, for us, like, right, you don't have to be an EMT to be a firefighter, you have to be first aid and CPR card certified. We would have to send them through an official whatever, but that's the very few things that when you're required to have it, that you have to have that. 99.9% of the people do not need to be certified. So that's what we're going away from. We can get more people through, it's more impactful for them, people learn. Like if I tell Evan that you can come in 45 minutes, get all this stuff versus come and sit for 8 hours, might get him to come for 45 minutes, I'm probably not gonna get him to come for 8 hours. Right, and so that's kind of the transition of CPR in a nutshell, and with the hands only, everybody's kind of created their own. Did I get close enough?
I think so. I'll know more in 2 weeks.
And I think for us, the delivery mechanism, especially with the school districts where Jason Leedy has led for years, a full CPR first aid and the health teachers, both at Glacier Peak, which is not even our district, but we work with them because they're Snohomish School District, and the high school. And the challenge with that is when you dig into the numbers and say, well, everybody has to sit through this long class over a week, which costs the district money, because we're paying overtime for this staffing and training. How many are actually asking for the card? And it's actually a very small number. So 50 people in a class sit through and only 2 of them turn in for a card. And really, we're just trying to get everybody trained to do compressions only. If we can do that in 45 minutes and take some of that time to teach other things that would give us credit for WSRB, we still might have to have an avenue for people that need the card because of work. We just don't need to teach 1,800 kids at the high school when only 75 of them want cards. It seems to be a lot of effort in manpower to get to the bottom number is only less than 10% are actually paying and want the card.
And you know, they found, like, the back hands only, you'll probably remember that in 10 years. The kids aren't gonna remember the 15 to 15, and that's why they found it was really poor for civilian CPR.
Right.
So, is it changing for professional first responders?
Healthcare providers at this point in time, the answer is no.
Okay.
We still have to have a certain standard and be carded or be certified and trained, yes.
Okay.
But we don't follow, again, like when we do it, we don't necessarily follow the American Heart Association, right?
Anymore.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're down to the protocol and how to do it, and it's
Never changed.
the bag valve, yeah, so it's just part of our OTEP training now.
Okay. Thanks.
But it's still staying alive, or YMCA or whatever.
Yeah.
Thanks, faster.
Any questions about anything else I submitted in writing? No.
Nope.
Is RLB all refenced and reprogrammed?
Oh, yes.
Everything's working?
Yep, everything's done and working, it even slightly came in under budget, so I was happy. But yep, all of that is
Didn't come in the
done.
budget because we paid the same no matter what.
Yes,
We saved-
yes.
We saved the
We
insurance
paid
company a
the-
little bit.
That's correct, yes.
The
Thank
insurance
you.
company came through again?
Yes.
Yes, yep. But yeah, all done, everything's operational.
Okay.
So like I said, Chief Rader's at a fire, and DJ, Chief Hill is off sick today. He got something over the weekend and didn't want to give all of us sick.
Thank you for this.
So Freighter's the usual, some type of audit going on.
Just
So-
We should-
Exactly, I'm not gonna
We
bore you.
should just get him one of those,
The green.
the little green
Yeah,
thing, and just
exactly.
put auditor on it.
Exactly.
He can just sit in his office and.
So I won't bore you with that. DJ and I have a lot of overlap, obviously. As soon as the EMS levy stuff got done, we started to ramp up the preparation to take over the fire marshal, and message that to the community, and also prepare the city to get all the code changes.
That's coming up in an October council meeting.
Correct, yep.
Is there any reason to think that that won't happen?
I don't think so. I mean, we've been talking, you know, a lot of the old council people, Merrill and Guzak, and no one are comfortable with it, and then you have a couple new ones, but like, a good example is, Megan Hetherington,
Yes.
you know, we.
She's a business owner, isn't she?
She's, she might be, but she's also president of HDSA,
Oh, right.
or, not president, she's the executive director.
Executive Director, HDSA.
And that's what I'm saying, so we have done a number of presentations and stuff with her about the fire marshal, so we talked to her many, many times, right? So she's very pro and for it, so we've told her these things, not as a city councilman, but the other, so I don't think so, meaning, we've touched enough of the old ones throughout this process and the new ones more recently,
Yeah.
that I have not got any questions, and more like that they understand that we're not somebody else doing what they did, we're coming in as doing something that was never done before, right? We
Mhm.
finally got that message out, that we're building a program that never
It's new.
existed.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be fine. We're just working on some, you know, they have a proposal, and SNR wanted some changes in it, so we're just kind of going back to that, of the actual wording in the code, and then we're also working with SNR to how we do the billing, right? The billing, that's why it's probably happening in November, so, nothing that we're arguing over, we're just getting all the I's, the T's crossed and I's dotted for everybody.
Are we building in a mechanism for some future opportunity for us to make changes, local changes to the fire code? Should we ever want to do that? Is that gonna be?
Well, the way the ILA was written is we can suggest things, but if you think about it, the city, we're a sandwich, the city has full control over the code, and they update it I don't know about every year, but this, right now is actually their normal update. So again, it's not weird to go to the city council, because they're getting things all the time out of the code, right? So this will seem like it's just, because they're doing a huge update to the fire code, words wise, and we're only a small part. Now, they've asked us our opinion on all those other things they're changing, but they were the ones that identified them and said, you know, because we're not as used to using the code as they are. You know, they've been tracking a bunch of things that were not well, and it's mostly where they've not followed the standard code, weirdly, is where the changes are.
Yeah.
So they're doing a big cleanup, and we're just, you know, probably 25% of that cleanup, meaning becoming the fire code official. So yes, we always can, but it's gonna go through the city council, so we would have to go and make a pitch to the city council. Obviously, the normal way would be, we would talk to the city staff, and we would take it together. That doesn't mean we don't have to, if we don't agree, we could always try to get into the city council to adopt our code change, but they have full control over that. We can't do anything if they don't take action and adopt it.
I'm just envisioning sometime in the future, having a fire code advisory board, you know, this group of business owners or people or whatever that sits and said, you know, so that it's not parked specifically at the council level, that it's this other.
They would have to, and we didn't go there, that is by RCW 100% their job, and they would have to give that
To,
power up.
and that's not something that we're looking at doing. That's where I was.
Do they have the?
Oh, yeah, anybody, I wouldn't say everything, but yeah, you can almost always give up power. But I wasn't gonna tackle that in this, because this was hard enough to get.
I didn't know if
Yeah.
that was.
No, so we were very specific to ease the city council that we were not asking for that.
Okay,
So what it is, the way the ILA was written is they retain 100% of that. We do the doing, and then they have 100% of the enforcement, right? So we're the middle.
okay.
So we don't write the code, we don't enforce the code, we just try to get it voluntarily enacted, we do the inspections and all that, so.
To make it safer for our.
Correct, meaning if you're the business, say, we say, hey, you can't do that, let's figure out a way to fix it. And you say, no, not a chance, and come on, we really need to fix it, da. We work with you, and then when it's finally like, hey, you gotta give them a ticket or shut them down, that goes back to the city to be the hammer.
Okay.
Why wouldn't they wanna give that up? Like, to me, wouldn't that lighten their load? Or
It's
is it a feather in their cap? What is it that would keep them from?
just control, I mean, that's what every group doesn't like to give up control, and, because the fire code affects all kinds of things, it's not just, right, it's
Yeah.
building permits and development and how it fits in with the building code, and so you don't really take the fire code or the building code away, and so that's what they're looking at, it's like, we could do some weird thing that says, hey, you have to have 4 entrances and exits, 80 feet wide roads, and they're like, what, no, like, we could never develop in our, well, that's what we need, so that's what they're worried about, is us doing something that would stymie the way they want the city to develop, right? It might be the other one there where they want to put in some, right, every group wants something different. Some people want more development, some people want less development, some people want development this way or that way, right? And that group wants to control that, and they would be worried that we would do something that would be counter to whatever goal they have.
Do you know if it's possible for them just to give up a little bit of it?
No, that's-
Stuff that like,
Yeah.
to me, it's like, we're gonna be doing all this work and then we don't have the enforcement, it just seems kind of,
Well,
like, can they just give us a slice and they can have the rest of it?
Well, I'm not sure we want the enforcement.
yeah, like
Yeah, no,
everybody,
I don't disagree with that, just to me, it seems like
everybody
we're
advises.
doing the heavy lifting and then they could easily just be like,
Yep.
you're like, oh, sorry, we didn't get to the, it was next month, and we're like, well, so do we not go back?
But I
Like,
think
you know?
but the bottom line is, it's gonna be a vast improvement over what we have now.
Yeah.
And we're always doing worst case scenario, right? So the goal, and this is what I was getting to, the goal is we should always have a good enough working relationship with the city. We don't have to agree with them, but in the fire code stuff, we should have a good enough working relationship when we say, hey, we want this. The building department should say, yeah, we understand why you want that, and we support it. And then we together go to the city council and say, hey, us, the fire district, the fire code official, and hey, us, the building department of yours, all agree that this needs to happen, right? That's the goal. We should never not be together. Same with the enforcement. When we tell them, hey, enforce this, we should have proven our case and used every means necessary that they realize that this is a serious thing and do it. Now, we also all know that nothing works perfectly, and that's why we put words in the ILA, and the city's looking at the same side, right? That they're looking at, hey, if we can't agree on this, we want to be that we are not going to give our power up, right? Because if we can't agree, if we don't want to do it, we want to, right? So they look at it from the same lens. They look at it, well, what happens if we don't agree? Because if we disagree, it sails through, and that's why they don't give that up, because again, they're looking at it as if it goes bad and the fire department becomes what they perceive as unreasonable, they want to have that power. But if everything's working right, we advise together, the city council passes whatever thing that we advise. So the hope is we never get to these extremes where we have to use the power. But every side, when they're looking at the writing of the ILAs, they always look at what if it goes to hell in a handbasket. And when the city looks at it like that, they're never going to have the power.
And there needs to be the buck stops here. For whatever kind of an agreement you have. There ultimately has to be a single point of saying, okay, if it gets to this, this has to happen. There can't be this nebulous thing just floating around. So either it resides with the city or it resides with us. And I think at this point in time, it's better for it to reside at the city. That buck stops here thing.
Yeah, and it's always easier, it's also, remember when we were talking about this ILA, it was coming from a place of not a great relationship, and we hadn't done it.
Yeah.
It's always easier to get those things through Congress, for lack of a better term, when you are getting along, right? So after we've done this for 5 years, and everybody in the organization only knows how well it works, you're way more likely to get that change when everything is everybody's seeing the through rose-colored glasses. The worst time is when you are coming from a place of odds.
Well, and we don't want to bite off more than we can chew right now, right? And get all of that in our lap.
Right.
Because we don't have the capacity to do it anyway.
Yeah, so like if we got enforcement, we would have to have another person, and they have to go to
One or
commissioning.
two or three.
You know, there's the different levels of commissioning, but they have to be commissioned to be able to write tickets and do all that stuff. And that was, we didn't want to take that on, and then even like SNRS, like you you don't want that headache of the enforcement. Snow would probably take the ability to write the code in a heartbeat, right? That's easy, but everybody was saying, do not take the enforcement. Like if you can, they were more like if the city was smart, they would be trying to pass it off on you. Now, no cities do that, but all of our advisors are like, if they want it, let them have it.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I took us over that.
But anyways, that's taken up a lot of DJ and I's time, and obviously, you know, the capital projects, we don't need to talk about that, anymore. Like, WSRB is a heavy lift to see what we can do. But
Are we
then-
close to making a jump?
I don't think we can get it we don't know yet.
Okay.
We were really close last time without having the ladder, and we're trying everything we can to get credit for the fire marshal program, but we really haven't had it, right? And they don't, it's weird because they don't look at, your next 5 years, it is, even WSRB is stuck in the 1940s.
Yeah.
They only look at the past to decide the next 5 years. So my guess is they're gonna look and say, that's great that you have it, but you haven't done it, so you were gonna get very little. But what this does, you know, everything took longer than I thought, right? I thought we would have the fire marshal program 3 years ago, and we would have 3 years of data. Anyways, you know, what we'll do is we're gonna keep honing, right? Like, so after this one, if we don't quite get there, we're gonna know exactly what we need to do.
Right.
You know, we'll have moved so many levers, we'll know the little pieces that we have left and where to focus. But I'm not saying there's a chance.
And it's go 4-3, correct?
Correct,
Yeah.
exactly. But if we don't this time, I'm confident in the next time, after we have 5 years of fire marshal, 5 years of inspections, you know, we've been working really hard with the city to change the way they test and rate their hydrants, to color code their hydrants. So we're gonna have all these pieces.
Know where their water system is.
Correct, exactly.
Where the pipes are buried.
Is that important?
Which ones are still wooden?
And with the other water systems, because you know.
Turn the knob on and water comes out, we're okay.
Again, we did our first rating, I had been the chief for a month. I didn't have any idea what we did really, let alone what the WSRB was. But I've learned in the 5 years since then. So for example, is they just send the water department the questionnaire. We don't send it to us at all, right? This is standard, the water department just sends it back. But the water department doesn't care what our WSRB rating is. They fill it out as quick as they can to get it off their plate. So this time, Jason is meeting with every water department, going through the form with them to say, what does it mean, what are they looking for, what do we want? And he's filling it out with them, every single form before it gets into the WSRB. I don't know how many points.
Do they send one to every water
Every
purveyor?
Correct, we have to get rated, but they rate every single water.
Like, so you got Cross Valley, and
They-
Roosevelt, and
they-
Wishon, and,
3 lanes.
No,
Everett.
they pick different ones, I'm
Oh.
guessing,
Well-
because in our form that they sent to us, they identified 5, so I don't know if that's the same 5.
No, it's because, that's why I thought I told you, it's because like if they did, there's a time frame. Like if they did the PUD with Surfer 2 years ago, they won't do the PUD again.
Okay.
So they look and say, if they have a water purveyor from another district already on file within a certain time, it's the same thing like dispatch center. We all have the same dispatch center, right?
Hmm.
So they rate that every 5 years. One time, and so if.
and everybody gets the same.
Correct, so if they rated it 4 years ago, we get that score from 4 years ago.
Got it.
So they don't go and redo, so
Okay.
my guess is they have done that, and so
That-
you'll have to track that down and find out what.
That makes
Yes.
sense, because the ones that they didn't pick PUD, because they probably have already been rated, because they're big enough.
Correct.
Somebody else probably.
And Cross Valley is Surfer and.
Us.
Yeah, and then because of the timing, they might do Cross Valley when they do us, and then when they do Surfer, they use the time they did it for
Right.
us, and so they don't double
The
that, but.
bad news is that they sent those forms out to the water districts way ahead of us.
Oh,
So all my meetings I've had, we've already had one water purveyor that had already turned his in, because like, I'm sure it was check the box,
Yeah.
man. I got it in my inbox, I filled out what I could, and as we're sitting going over information, I would have answered that differently, like, they wanna know how often do you inspect the hydrants? And he goes, well, every other year, but we flush the other half. Well, that's an
See,
inspection.
to the
If
water
you're taking a
department.
cap off and you're like, you could have said then annually, and so like it's probably too late, if you change it now, they probably won't believe you.
To the water department, inspection is like, dig into the guts. To WSRB is, you just make sure this, right? So
Does
again,
water come out?
Yeah.
looking back, is we have all these points left on the table because we just didn't know the system.
And they're probably rushing to get it off their plate, like, they don't care.
And we're gonna talk to WSRB and say that, trying to be like, come on, man, you're giving this to these people with almost no
No knowledge.
direction, exactly.
Yeah.
What direction?
And you got, you have a housewife from Lake Rossiger who's the secretary of the water district filling this thing out, and,
And it's, again, it was built for cities, not fire districts, right? Like, so again, it's easy in the city of Seattle, right? Because the fire chief knows the water right? It's all one thing, and you have the same goal. Like, these water districts have not a goal. So anyway, it's a lot bigger work of just tackling all this and getting it accurate, for the lack of a better term. And then back to that, the committees of trying to get a lot of this regionalization is taking up a tremendous amount of time. The redoing, because the academy ILA is outdated, or not outdated, expired. We have to rewrite that ILA. We're trying to get the training consortium up as a full thing, as we're also rewriting the academy ILA. I've been working to redo the way we budget and track the cooperation of the academy ILA. We're doing the Med Trust meeting, so the collaborations are kind of like taking off.
Consuming.
Yeah, it's all kind of hitting at the same time at the end of this year, so a lot of time in that, but hopefully we can get, by the end of the year, 2 or 3 of those off the plate. I think that's it. Is there any questions?
I don't. Gentlemen,
Don't.
anything? I'm going to the snow owl meeting in October to give a report, so if you wanna go as well, we'll figure out whether, to give a report. I'm the chair of the SCEMS board.
Right.
So it's incumbent upon me to make sure that I keep the commissioners informed about what's happening in SCEMS. And we've got a lot of things going on. Budget request, the SLA with Snow 911 is kind of changing a little bit, at least for the time being. And some other things that are going on, so I'll give you the report. One other thing I want to bring up, and the chief brought it to my attention, and it's like an aha moment. We are due to replace fire engines in 2029, 2030. We should order them now.
Right, because I see that the order time is getting longer and
Yeah.
longer. Every year you wait, it used to be 2 years, now it's 3.5.
So,
Yeah.
if we want to be anywhere close to being able to replace those on the timeline that we would like to replace them, we've got to be thinking at least 3 years in
Yeah.
advance.
Yeah.
So,
We have money in the bank for those, right? Not all of it probably, but
Yeah,
at least
we-
enough to put.
enough for a down payment or whatever, right?
Well, and now I probably would not, right? I would do the pay when we get them, like with ladder, we haven't paid any, we won't pay any.
Right,
Um,
but order it.
Yes, because as long as you guys keep the budget, we have the money, we'll have the money by then. So I've asked Jason to set up a committee and start looking at it. Because, I think the estimate we got was a 5-year bill.
5?
5 now?
You gotta be
So,
kidding me.
so I told them that, I don't know what Sean said, but I told them they got 6 months to figure out what the hell they want before we can bring something back to you. Because we're already
That's wild.
Behind.
We have people, I definitely have people interested, so.
So really what we need, and I can get a price, we really just need to know, when we all looked at it, electric or not, but it's almost still over 50% more, so it would, to get 2 electrics would be the same as buying 3. Or, so I don't have that budgeted, I guess that's what I would say. We have enough money for 2 if we do, but to go electric, we would have to, increase our yearly allotment into that reserve fund, which then is coming from
Someplace else.
something else,
Yep.
and not like a little bit.
Is there enough data out there yet to know whether or not those rigs are reliable?
I don't think so, because I'm still hearing mixed reviews, right? Like we talked about today, Renton is not having good luck with it. This place is having good luck with it. I was hoping, right, that it would be a 2 or 3 year bill, and we would have
Couple more years.
2 more years of seeing what was out there before we had to make the decision.
Yeah.
If I had to make the decision today, I would stick with what we know.
Did
I-
the
I
red
would
one,
agree.
is it the same, one that we saw in Glendale?
I think they're a Rosenbauer, I don't know
Oh,
for
right.
sure. I'd have to dig into it, but my point is,
Yeah.
I was hoping not only would we have 2 more years, but the cost would start to, right?
Right,
As
right.
as they increase their electric knowledge and capacity, the
Yeah.
cost should go down.
Right.
We're not, we're also cost-wise to infrastructure up for the electrics also is a huge cost.
Correct, we built it so we can, but we still would have to.
Yeah.
Right.
So that doesn't even take that cost
Yeah, which is,
into account.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, like, I don't feel, this is just me, I don't feel like, because we're still focusing, what you said is putting our extra money towards the facilities. Like, if we were done with 42 and knew what we had and I could budget better, I might feel more comfortable, but we still have a lot of things in the air, you still want to, if we had to put that much money in, we might not add staffing as soon as you wanted to, because we were buying an electric vehicle.
yeah.
Right, right. And we are doing other things to help with that safety aspect, the clean cab concept.
Yep.
The more of those things that we can do, because probably the biggest thing of doing electric is just getting rid of the
Correct.
diesel fumes.
In the station.
Correct.
That's really my only concern.
And the Bimovids got better, and then in our stations, we did a double. You probably don't remember, but we actually put 2 systems in. So there's 2 systems that people promote, the hose, the Bimovid that everybody knows, but then also the big filters.
Right.
And we did both. So we actually have 2, what people would consider complete systems.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that is better than the electric or even necessarily makes up for it, but again, trying to weigh that option and at double, well, I guess not double, at adding, basically it would probably add over $1 million. It would probably be almost $2 million to go electric. And for us, it's 10% of 1 year's budget.
And for $100,000, we could get Gary to just build a ramp, so they coast out of the station and start them out, right?
Yeah, just,
Well, we probably should have looked at putting like the catapult system from the aircraft carrier.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not too late to slope it in, so we can get the drainage too, but the engine can be back in under neutral, right? But I'd say the other consideration as well is being somebody that, my wife and I own a Tesla, and that's like the most manufactured car over the last 4 years. And it is, I don't know in the fire service what the infrastructure, but if you have a accident, they total those very low threshold to total, because they still don't even have
they
the
don't have all the data.
capacity to get them into shops and their specialty shops, and so that would be something else to consider, is if you bring an EV into the fleet and it gets T-boned on Bickford and 2 tomorrow, who's certified to do the
Then you're waiting 5
repair?
years for your replacement.
And how long is it gonna take you, so that's.
Insurance is wild on the EVs as well,
Yeah.
when it comes to the Tesla.
It is more, it is more, and then part of it is because they have such a low threshold to total.
Yeah.
It's a $40,000 car, And if they think it even remotely got into the battery pack, it's just done.
And-
They're not,
And if we kind of do the 6 month, you have 2 to 3 months to think about it. I mean, the committee will get going and doing, before they get to those decisions, be doing other things. So you don't have to make it now, but yeah, it just kind of, Chief Witherell kind of is our apparatus guru, big guru, and he's in the community. And by the way, I know our schedule for 2030, it's a 5-year build now. That was a couple weeks ago, so.
You know, I
It's
knew
getting
there
worse
were, I
on
knew there
that.
were 3 years.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard, so, doesn't surprise me.
So, yeah, I guess I would encourage you to move at warp speed.
Yeah, we'll try to bring something back to you within 6 months.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just, I did, all of us are trying to, every time we get around, our head around what the new normal is, the new normal changes.
It
to
changes,
Something
yeah.
completely worse.
And I don't want to prolong this, but who knows, some other technology may come
Oh,
along.
yeah, hydrogen.
Because hydrogen, yeah, that's
I mean, there's a lot of other,
how you apply that to a 40,000 pound fire engine, I'm not sure, but maybe. it
Lots of
was-
hydrogen.
You know, it's full of water.
Well,
Make sure you park
as
the hydrogen.
as you're burning the hydrogen, it's filling your tank. So
There you go, I like it.
I think we have a steamer just right over in the other
Yeah.
room.
There's technology.
the other thing that
Just
we're missing
reverse.
on the electric fire engines is they are your backup power system for your station.
Yeah, for about 20 minutes.
Oh, you can probably get a couple hours out of it. I mean,
I
that,
bet
is
you
it,
days,
is it?
I bet
for-
you days.
One of the car manufacturers is advertising that as a vote.
Yeah, I think Ford has a
Ford.
plug-in that you can use it for
It goes
construction.
2 ways, the plug-in can work, the electricity doesn't know which way it's
Yeah.
going. It's just going. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Power is
Chair.
power,
I
yeah.
almost forgot.
There is one other piece in our packet that we didn't talk about. The letter from
Shonish.
Heather about the
Oh,
city's
up the
status of
update,
their
yeah.
project. I don't know if we want to discuss
That's up to
that.
you, that was just,
I-
I got it, the data packet, so I just threw it in there, it's.
I read it, I said, well, okay,
And when they.
that's life for today. It could change
Correct.
after the election or
Correct.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the update,
Okay.
that way you have the most up-to-date what our
Yes.
neighbor is thinking, which is,
Great.
yeah.
All right.
I have one more thing, at the snow aisle meeting that we had this week, also, had a presentation from the Camino Island personnel that, suffered a PTSD episode, and they talked about how long that period of time was for that individual to recover, and it was like a 2-year period before they